Hey everybody, doing a how-to video. That's right. Don't worry about the noise, cleaning, and other things. So, what's the how-to? Well, how to make a grow cabinet using cheapish stuff, but it still looks pretty good. So, what are the things you'll need? Let me show you. So, first things first, let me flip that around so I can actually show you. You'll need a nice cabinet, like that right there. Now that cabinet is called, let me pull out the good old manual, Shelf Utility Cabinet, Sterilite. This cabinet costed me $84 at the Wally World New. Now, that is pretty expensive for me. You can go cheaper. I know I've gone cheaper, but it looks good, and it has doors, and it helps hold the light in. So, let me open it up and show you. There's nothing in here yet. I'm working on it. So another thing that you will need, this is all optional now in terms of how you go about this, but what I have done, let me just pull a shelf out and show you. Come on now, don't play games with me. I'll get it one way or another if I don't have to. See, there we go, I got it. So this shelf, I'm using command hooks. And a pack of those, you get, let's see, 7 hooks, 8 of the strips, and that was $8. That's expensive. I believe you could do eyelets, but the reason why I went with the strips, I know they will hold up the lights that I'm using, and you can remove them without there being holes in the shelves. I know that's not a big deal, but you know, I didn't want holes in the top of it, you know, in the top of the cabinet. So that's why I'm using these. You know, you take that off, stick it on the back of the hook. You take that off, stick it on the surface. The instructions say let it sit for an hour before putting anything on it. So that's what I'm using. Like I said, you can use eyelets. There's nothing wrong with using eyelets. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with using eyelets. It's just they will make holes in the plastic, which isn't too bad on these shelves. But if you're putting a light in this, then, you know, if your eyelet is really long, it might poke through the top. Because, and I say that because it's not like the top is thin. The top, there's how thick the top is. Here's how thick a shelf is. You could do it. You could try to do it short eyelet, but I just like those better. I know they'll hold the weight, and I know that they'll remove cleanly. Now, depending on what kind of light you're using and how heavy, well, that will depend on what kind of hooking setup you use. Now, I don't know if you can see very well, but there's another one. And if you look, the shelves have ribs compared to the top that is flat. That is something to take into account. So, I'm doing this, peppers, this, peppers, this right here, peppers. And the bottom is holding soil at the moment. Getting back to this cabinet, some of the pluses about it. Well, it's pretty easy to assemble. There's no tools required. That's right, no tools. I did it by hand. I figured it would be boring to video that, so I did not video that. Another thing that I like about it that surprised me for the price, it has set areas, but it's adjustable shelving. So if I wanted to drop this shelf down, I could. Now that would affect down here for me, but if you're doing, you know, tall plants, and then they get taller, you can keep dropping the shelf down. Like I said, down here, it's holding pot and soil, some of Innocence's nutrients and some of mine. I couldn't fit all of them in there. I was amazed I got that dirt in there. Now, one more great plus about this is, you may be thinking, lighting. How am I going to power that? Well, what I found out is, let's say this is your extension cord. We'll just sit that right there. We will close this door and be sure not to catch it on the bottom. But you can catch it, like I said, not on the bottom, like I'm doing pretty terribly, but there, see, it will fit through the center slit, so you don't have to bore no holes in the cabinet. Now, if you want to be cool, like I'm wanting to be, you can put stickers on it. Hey, we had stickers. I didn't know what to do with them. I figured why not stick them on the grow cabinet. Now I've got to still put the plants in here and the lights in here, but whenever that's done, I'll bring you back. I'll show you what lights we're using and tell you all about those, and you'll get to see some of the plants. And I might show you my cheaper grow tent so you can see the difference. Alright guys, I am back. So here is the lights I'm using inside the grow tent. Well, grow cabinet in this case, because it's not a tent, it's a cabinet. So those lights are, here's the box for those lights. 24-inch LED grow light, hyper tough. Does not list the K value, but it does say that it's a 70-watt equivalent, and yes, I know, I've been told enough times that you should make sure that you have a K value on there before you buy it. Well, I bought one of these for a little over $13 at Walmart last year to test in my pepper plants that they grew. So I trusted it enough to buy it again because it was only a little over $13. 2 foot. It's the only two, you know, it's a one of the only good 2-foot fixtures they sold there at Walmart. So I picked them up. Now, the interesting thing is there's where the plug goes in. There you can daisy chain them. Yeah, see, here's the chain. Here's the cord. So let me show you the inside of the grow tent. Well, see, I said it again. Grow cabinet. I'm thinking about the grow tent behind me. So I've moved all the plants in here that I could. I mean, I might can fit more in here, but for the most part, this is all the plants. And I know that light's bright, so let me cut that light off. So, first off, yes, those lights are 2 foot, and the cabinet specifications say that this is about a little over 25 wide. However, something that to take into account that I did not is the end of the cord adds length. And because of that, I actually couldn't really put these in parallel. So what I had to do was actually make them crooked to run them. So I actually had to move my command hooks. Now, what I also did was I used zip ties for my chain, and whenever I need to raise it or lower it, if I need to raise it, I just pull on a zip tie. If I need to lower it, I cut a zip tie and add 2 zip ties back. It's a cheap chain. And to keep those zip ties from constantly coming off those hooks, I zip tied them to it. I know it sounds a little strange, but yep, it works. Because those hooks have a hole in the middle of them. And that zip tie goes right through it, and it holds that zip tie to it. So this one, it's only got 1 zip tie chain. And you can see all these little tiny plants. We got a couple of big boys in here on the sides, but most of them are itty bitty peppers. Now for wiring, as I told you, one of the great things was you can close the doors and your wire can run through that crack between the 2 doors. Well, you can also run the wiring for these lights on the inside of the cabinet as well. As you can see, this runs past this shelf. So yeah, because this is plastic, the walls give a little bit, and they gave a little bit for that cord to run down the wall on the inside of the cabinet instead of on the outside, because I did have them on the outside at first, and that little turn was right here, and then the door did not want to close. So this is a cleaner method, and I like it better. So let me cut this light back on. So on this one, I just moved the 1 command strip in the back. This one's at the same position that I originally had it at. Down here I moved both of them, so you get more of a diagonal. And I have to move this plant to reach this cutoff. There we go. So that's a scarlet rose and a sponge. But most of these are in dirt. I've got a few cracky startlings, but most of it's dirt. So yeah, most of these are small. I got a couple of big cups in here. One of Innocence's habaneros, and one of our purple reapers, which, there we go, there's some good lighting. You can see it does have purple, but it's also got green foliage going now. It was mostly purple. But yeah, so once again, there's a one zip chain on these, because my shelves are so small in between, but the plants are small. So yeah, you can see it once again. Same premise. It's zip tied to the command holder. Wire runs with that wire past this shelf on the inside. Let me cut that back on. Voila. Put that plant back there. And yeah, I've really crowded this thing full of plants. I'm sorry if that light's bright, everybody. But, oh, here's the other shelf, and as you can see, that guy is leaking water. I just watered them. So that's one of Innocence's purple ghost scorpions. And this shelf's a bit different. So, as you can see, and let me just see if I can cut this light off. Voila. So as you can see this support? That support does affect the walls. And as you can see, my light is right up against it. And this light has a multiple chain, so my command hooks are actually in their original position that I put them in. The chain itself allows the light to bend because it's so long. But yeah, that's something to remember. That does affect this. So, cut that back on, put that plant back. I got one tomato in here. He's back there. I think he's starting to get flowers. He's only that big. Here's one of Innocence's lemon starbursts. Loads and loads of plants in there, and I don't like to water them and then sit them in here where they're dripping water like that. But there's not much I could do. I had to move them, water them, and then move them. So yeah, these guys, they need watered pretty bad. I'm hoping that some of them will recover, but there's no telling for sure. Like you can see, that guy, his leaves are a little bad with that guy. His leaves are really messed up. Didn't get to go out and get any good water, so I had to take our city water and boil it to get the chlorine out of it, and even then it's not the best. Here's one of Innocence's purple reapers for comparison to our purple reaper. We got another one, and it's back there. And there is another one, but it is not in this room. It is in a cracky in another room. So, yep. And of course, the bottom is holding 2 bags of pot and soil, and what's left of my Clonex, and Innocence's Neptune Harvest. And it's important that that cord, yes, that cord, is in between the doors. So I'll close that door, and now I will close that door, but I'll make sure that that cord is in the center of the doors, because if you don't, it will affect the height, because this door will be on the cord, so it'll be sitting higher, and then the other door won't want to shut good. So you can do that, but it won't want to shut good. So I gotta find my PLC sticker and my other Pepper Donkey sticker and put those on here. Just for the sake of showing you something else really quick, I will quickly show you my grow tent. My grow tent, the noise you hear is my fan inside the tent. I need fans in the grow cabinet too, I know. But and these are my crosses. They're all in hydro, but that guy, I moved him in the dirt. None of them are growing. They're kind of just in a I think they're in a stunted stage. I'm basically waiting out for winter to end and spring to begin so I can put them outside. So this tent, let me give you a price comparison. The framework is a 4-tier greenhouse that I bought for about $15 at, I think it was Tractor Supply. That lasted for one season outside in 2018, and then the greenhouse liner was shot. It had just rotted away, loads of holes. So I brought it inside, I slapped 2 of these blankets, and as you can see on the inside they are reflective, and on the outside they are this orange color, and they're pretty, they're pretty thick. They're pretty nice blankets. And here's the box. Survival Blanket 2.0. The ultimate survival gear. And these things weren't cheap actually. You can go a lot cheaper, and you can buy the really cheap and thin solar blankets. But the way that I'm opening this and closing it is with these clips, and I'm just pulling this down and then putting it up, and I'm clipping it to the frame. I worried about how strong just one of those little thin solar blankets would be. So I got these nice thick ones, and I've got one that wraps around here. It wraps around, and that's what you're seeing back there. Then I got one on top, and it works. It covers the whole tent. So if I don't want the bright lights, I can cover the tent. It does still glow. Yes, these are so thin that you do see a faint light, but it's not bad. And so $15 plus $20, that's $35. Then you add in the light, which we'll just say that was $14. I know it wasn't 14, but we'll just say that. So let's see, 35 plus 14, 45 plus 4, $49, so close to $50, which that cabinet was $84. So that's, that's around the halfway mark. Obviously the fan was a few dollars. This light we had in the house. I bought a replacement bulb, but I didn't really put this in here till later on. I started with just this. But yeah, that's my big plants. And they're in the grow tent. Whereas what I just showed you was the grow cabinet. A bit more money, but I like it better because it blocks the light better. It just feels more adjustable than this, because like I've got a side there and then a side all the way down there that I can lay racks on, and then that's it. I can't lay a rack in increments, in as much increments as I can in the cabinet. Now, this obviously has some advantages to the cabinet, mainly the cost. If you could find one of those 4-tier greenhouses that cheap, then you could use really cheap solar blankets to cover it. Then yeah, you'd have a really good deal. But I like the cabinet. So that's just my grow tent and grow cabinet. And I've got my nutrient scale up there and some other stuff up there. like some old pruners. I don't use those on these, but I will use them outside. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little video. And if you want to make a grow cabinet, well, this cabinet is a pretty good start for that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Peace out.